this video, I'm going to introduce you to creating a custom report in Zoho CRM. Reporting in Zoho CRM allows us to aggregate your company's data and output it in specific ways, allowing us to make important decisions about sales, customer service, prospecting, marketing, or any other business activity you're managing in Zoho CRM. To get the most value from your CRM implementation, you're going to want to use custom reporting. The more data you have in the system, the greater need you're going to have to output that information in more specific ways. So let's go over to the reporting section of Zoho here up on my toolbar. And as you can see, if I scroll down, they have a lot of stock reports that ship with the program. Now, these can give you a lot of very good information, but they're stock. They're not very specific to what I want to do based on my staff and my use of the software. So custom reporting allows us to get really specific information that's meaningful to me, to you, to your users. So up here at the top, we can see we can create a new report here. You can also create custom report folders so that all of your custom reports can be stored in specific folders of your creation. Now we also have a report scheduler. The report scheduler is great. It allows me to schedule to have my reports emailed to me on a specific schedule, say every Monday morning at 8 a.m. And I'm going to cover the report scheduler in more detail in another video. So as you can see here, our first step in creating a custom report is to choose the modules that we want to use for reporting. So the main module here that we want to choose in this case is the potentials module. I'm going to create a report that summarizes all of my open potentials by their owners and gives us information about their expected revenues and things like that. So we want to report on potentials, but I also want to choose a related module to report on as well, which is accounts. Now what this allows us to do is provide data in one report coming from both of those modules. So I got potentials and accounts, and I can click continue here. And it gives me the choice of what report type do I want to create. There's 3 report types that we can use: a tabular report, a summary report, and a matrix report. And I'm going to show you an example of all 3 here today. We're going to start out with the tabular report. And the tabular report displays data in a simple list. It's not giving us any information about subtotals or the ability to group the data in any certain way. So if I just wanted to create a master list of all of my potentials, I would use a tabular report. And that's what we'll go ahead and do here now. So now that I have my report type selected, I'm going to choose columns, and we're going to go ahead and choose the fields that we want to report on in this custom report. So I'm going to start out by choosing the potential name. I click add, and I'm going to choose the potential owner. And now if I scroll down the list, I can see additional information available. You can see my account data is available here, so I'm just going to choose my account name, and then we will choose our potential amount. Let's go ahead and choose our potential's expected revenue, maybe the type of potential, maybe our stage. Let's go ahead and also choose the lead source. Now over here, once we have the data in the selected columns, we can move them up and down any way we want. If I want to get rid of something, I just click on the delete, removes it from our selected columns, and adds it back over here to the left. Okay. Now, we can give ourselves columns to total, which is going to be grand totals at the bottom of the report. I mentioned earlier, the tabular report doesn't give us the ability to create subtotals or groupings, but it does give you the ability to create a total summary or a grand total of various columns. So for example, I might want to give the sum of my potential amounts and maybe also a sum of my expected revenue. And that would give me the total values of those columns. So we'll go ahead and choose those. And the next thing that we'll do is we'll click on the next tab here, which is criteria. And criteria allows us to filter the data. So I can use the filtering criteria for any number of reasons, but in this particular case, what I want to do is I want to run this report for open potentials. So I don't want to have any kind of potential that's already closed, whether I've lost it or whether I've won it. But I just want to have open potentials only. at any stage of my sales cycle. So I'm going to go ahead here and choose for my filter, we want to choose stage. And for my filtering criteria, I'm going to choose doesn't contain the word closed. So that means any of my stages in the sales cycle that have the word closed in it are going to be excluded from this report. And I can continue to add additional criteria if I want to really define a very specific filtering scheme here. So I can delete that. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and save our report. It's going to prompt us here to save this. So we'll just call this Open Potentials Custom Report. Now I can place it into a folder. Now if I had created a custom folder, I could place it in there. But in this case, I'm just going to place it in the Potential Reports folder and click Save. Once I click Save, it's going to run my report. And now you can see it's listing out all my potentials, the owners, the account names, the amounts, the expected revenues, and the other fields that we had chosen. And it's giving me summarized values for the total amounts and also for the expected revenue. So this is the simplest type of report we have. This is the tabular report. Now that I've created this, I can go back in and modify it and further customize it. So by clicking this button here to customize, I'm able to go back in and we can make some adjustments. Now in this case, what I want to do is I want to filter this, I want to change the report type to become a summary report. Now as you remember, a summary report allows us to group and subtotal our data. So it gives us more ability to create a more detailed report that gives us more specific information. So in this case, what I'm going to do is change this to a summary report. I'm going to leave my columns the same, but I'm going to come over here to grouping, and I'm going to group the data. Now you notice you can group up to 3 levels, so I can have my data grouped and subtotaled by these 3 levels, but I'm only going to filter by 2 levels. What I'm going to filter by first is by potential owner, and then I'm going to filter by stage. So it's going to filter my data first by potential owner and then by the stage. Now what I can do is I can come over here to columns to total, and I'll leave them the same as they were before, and our criteria is the same as well. But maybe what I'll do in this case is I'll apply a filter for a date range. So you see here we have advanced filters where we did stage does not contain closed, but I can also do a date range. So I could do, say, maybe the potential closing date is in the next 90 days. So that's going to be only for the potentials that are have a closing date or an estimated closing date of the next 90 days. And then it populates that date range in here for me. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and click Save. It's going to save my report and run it for me. And now you can see my data is grouped by the potential owner, and it is also subgrouped by the stage. So in this case, you'll see I only have 1 potential in each stage for Ryan Brown. Under Joe Salesman, I only have 1 each stage as well. Now you see in the parentheses, this gives me the total number of potentials grouped within that particular potential owner. Now down here in the bottom, I see subtotals. The blue rows are subtotals for each stage, and this row here, you can see, is giving me a subtotal for the potential owner. And same with this one down here. This gives me a subtotal for this potential owner. Down at the bottom, it's giving me the grand totals for those columns. So this is the process of creating a summary report. So very similar, it just gives me the ability to group the data and get a little bit more insight out of it. So what I want to do here is go ahead and further customize this, because I want to show you the final report type called a matrix report. Now the matrix report is different in that it doesn't show the data itemized in a list, but instead it summarizes it into a grid for maybe some easier consumption of that data from a higher level perspective. So let's create a matrix report to give us sums of the expected revenue from each of our lead sources. So give ourselves a little bit of a different look at this data. So I'm going to choose matrix report here, You'll notice that the columns field went away, so I don't have the ability to choose itemized data anymore. Now I'm going to go to the grouping tab here because grouping is sort of our way of generating data in a matrix report. Now what I want to do here is I want to choose the stage first. So we're going to group first by stage, and then we're going to and see that's where this is going to be our row headings, or each stage in my potential sales process. Then I'm going to specify my column headings here, which in this case I want to use lead source. So I'm going to group by stage and lead source, which will be my rows and my columns. And if I go here to columns to total, I can choose one of the columns to total. In this case I want to use expected revenue. And then we will go ahead and just save this. So we're still filtering for the next 90 days. But now you can see here, this is each stage of my potential sales cycle. And then I can see the different lead sources. Like here's a lead source that was blank, no lead source was defined. And then here's some different lead sources, and I can see what values of expected revenue I have coming in from each one of these lead sources that I'm expecting to close in the next 90 days. So you can see the matrix report is very different, but the data is very meaningful. It just allows me to look at it from a higher level without having to view, getting into all the details about each one of your sales potentials. So this has been a video showing you how to customize reports, whether it's a tabular report, a summary report, or a matrix report. Make sure to tune in for the next video where I show you how to use the report scheduler.